For more on small businesses reopening in the US and how that's shaping the labor market, I'm joined by Tamny. John is an editor with Real Clear Markets and Forbes Magazine. Good to see you again.
Hey, great to see you.
So as we know, we're seeing states and regions in the US opening up, and more restaurants, hair salons and other businesses are able to open up as well. But what will that actually do to the overall economic picture in the US?
Well, anything that increases economic activity will expand the economy. But let's be clear, there's this myth in the United States that small businesses are somehow the backbone of the U.S. economy. No, more realistically, they're a consequence. And how you know this is look at any shopping mall. There are always, at any mall, there are anchor tenants, usually big globalized names, and small businesses can cluster around them. And you see that in any shopping anywhere in any part of the world. Big anchor tenants and then smaller businesses can open up around it, and they get foot traffic based on that. And so it's essential that businesses be given the right to open up again. But I think it's a myth to presume, as so many Americans do, that if small businesses get back open, that will somehow spark the economy. Now, that gets things backwards.
And so we know that many businesses, though, are ready and they do want to reopen. But what about consumers? Are they broadly ready to return to these businesses?
Well, I think that's what's so important about reopening. And I think it also speaks to the tragedy that they were ever shut down to begin with. We need to find this out. The problem with one-size-fits-all solutions is they blind business owners to what's needed and what consumers want, and they also blind consumers to what they actually want. The ideal scenario during this is that, yeah, probably a bigger business like Disney might have shut down. Some smaller businesses would have said, well, there's no way we can be shut down for an extended period. We need to get moving right away. We could have found out crucial information during the period when people were really nervous about the coronavirus to find out, what do consumers want? Are they okay with crowded businesses? Would they prefer lots of plastic guards everywhere? Would they prefer that people are limited how much they can go into any place of business? We don't know these things. So the great that at least now with businesses reopening, we can find out what we haven't known all this time.
Now, we know that unfortunately millions of Americans filed for unemployment. A lot of these businesses shuttered or were very limited. How do you think small businesses opening up, as well as some of the bigger ones, might impact the overall employment rate in the short to longer term?
I think it's going to pull people back very quickly. There's this idea out there that Americans just go to work because they want a paycheck, that they're just doing it for the money. I think that insults every American worker, and it presumes that they don't see the obvious advantages from getting back to work and getting on a ladder up the corporate ladder of success. And so I think what you'll see is that as businesses reopen, there's lots of demand among consumers to get back to living their lives that were rudely taken from them by the political class. But I think also workers want to get back to doing it. For most people, work is a source of pride. It gives people purpose. And arguably one of the cruelest aspects of these unnecessary lockdowns was this notion that we can just buy you off with $1,200. Sorry, my work means too much to me, and I think that describes most people, not just in the U.S., around the world. Work is how we define ourselves. It gives us purpose.
But for a lot of people, obviously, they were relying on this. This is their means of putting a roof over their heads and food on the table. And we know that the government did try and put out its PPP program and these other monthly payments as well. But what sort of resources do small businesses have to lean on, since they're really embarking on this new territory for the first time?
It's a great question, and it speaks once again to the cruel tragedy overseen by the political class in the United States. People always talk about our enemies around the world. Why don't we talk about the enemies right here who said, in response to a virus, we're going to impose mass unemployment, mass bankruptcy, and broad economic desperation. Poverty has always been the biggest killer, the biggest health issue in the world. Nothing else has come close. And the response from politicians in the U.S. was to wreck the economy to fight a virus. And so you're right. It's a very good question. How will these small businesses, will they have the resources to get back to it? It's a very difficult and I would say sad question. They had people work their lives to start these businesses, and they had them cruelly ripped away from them by politicians. We don't know, but we need to find out.